Alright guys, I'm so excited. I got the Arcus Arcanum Tarot off of eBay today. I was so excited. I've been wanting this deck for a while. It actually took about 4 months for one to come up in the price range that I wanted to pay on eBay. And I'll go ahead and show you guys how to do a save search on eBay so that you're automatically emailed when something you want comes up for a certain price. Okay, so this is the Fool, and I have been admiring this artwork all day. I went to the coffee shop to look at it. Here's the Magician. As you can see, I really like this High Priestess card. The illustrator has like a sort of comic book style, which I just love. I used to spend hours and hours in high school drawing, and I drew like a lot of the Marvel comics and stuff. So I really like the Emperor, how it has these like ram horns and this fire. I feel like it adds some fierceness. And we have the High Priestess. Notice the High Priestess and there we go, how the Priestess and the High Priest, how they're kind of like mirroring each other. The illustrator and the author took great care to do that, and I actually really like that about this deck. Here is the Lovers. Has such a medieval feel, as you can see. Again, these rams reminds me of Aries, reminds me of taking action, moving forward. There's a lot of movement in that card. The Justice card, so beautiful. I feel like I want to be this for next Halloween. And then we have the Hermit. Alright, and there is a hourglass on the bottom of the card with some crows. We have the Wheel. This reminds me of the 3 Norns in Viking mythology. We have the Strength card. She's riding the lion. Let's see, the Hanged Man is a gallant warrior hanging upside down from a tree. The Death card, here we have some sort of like, is it doldom? Is that what that's called? I can never remember. That's a word that I always read, but like I rarely say. So we have that. We have the Temperance card. So beautiful. I really like this guy's artwork. Okay, and we have the Devil. You guys, I hope I'm not doing this too close to you. I'm not used to like being behind the camera and doing this. We have the Tower card. So much action in there. The Star. I like how prominent that star is. Okay, she's traditionally 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on the ground. I like that. The Moon card. I love this like Stonehenge situation going on there. That really resonates with me. Again, we have the Sun. And we have this symbol that is also in the deck, and then as you're going to see when we get to the World, where is it? The World card. See, there's the symbol again. And then Judgment, and that symbol was also in the Magician. I like how this is a warrior coming out instead of an angel. Maybe it's a Valarchy, right? Didn't the Valarchies come and get the fallen soldiers in Norse mythology? I feel like a Valarchy is the same thing as an angel. It's just that that's their word for it. In, I guess, what is that, Old Norse? We have the World card. And there we go. Alright, oh, and these are the backs of the cards. As you can see, the 4 symbols and the A and the O. I think the A and the O has to do with, like, magical tradition. I'm not, like, super witchy, and I've not, like, read a bunch of witch books, so I don't really know. But I have a funny feeling that that's what that's from. Alright, so this is the guidebook, and it is a little bit torn, but it is in pretty good shape, so that was fine. What I noticed is that some of the meanings in here were different from the traditional meanings that we know of today, and I kind of wonder, is it because this is from 1986 and that was traditional in 1986 and it slowly changed over time, or did he just have a different interpretation? I'm not actually sure. So this is a random card in the deck. It has the proper backing, so I'm personally going to leave it in the deck. Maybe it was one of the ones that didn't make it into production, but they wanted to include it. And then this is just a little bit about the authors. Alright, the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to show you guys the court cards, but I'm going to show you them all spread out so that I just want to show you kind of like the storyline that I feel the court cards bring, so I'll be right back. Okay, I want to go ahead and compare and contrast the Arcus Arcanum Tarot with the Robin Wood Tarot, specifically because the Robin Wood Tarot has very Rider-Waite-Smith oriented archetypes, and this one, it just varies a little bit, and I want to be able to show the difference. So the Ace of Cups is pretty similar Two of Cups is pretty similar. The three, oh wait, where's the three? There we go. Okay, so the Three of Cups is very similar. When we move to the Four of Cups, the imagery is similar enough that I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think of that main archetype. The Five varies a little bit different. There is still, you know, the water and the ocean in the background. There are two people in this image and they're both looking in different directions. But it's close enough that I would think of that. And then we have the Six of Cups, and there aren't children in this card. They're all adults. There aren't flowers in the cups. So it just varies a little bit. And then I really like the Seven. Look at this. This person is looking in the mirror. And in the mirror, you guys, I have drank too much coffee. Look at me, I'm shaking. Massive amount of cappuccino earlier. Okay, so I love how she can look in the mirror and she can see the different cups and all the archetypes in the cups. I just think that's the best thing ever. This is a really good representation of this card. And then we have the Eight of Cups. And it's a little traditional, you know, there's people in front and then these two people are walking towards the water and towards the moon. So it's mildly similar. And the Nine of Cups is somewhat similar. And then we have the Ten of Cups. Okay. One thing that I want to point out with this deck, and it'll be a little bit more obvious because I'm going to put all the minor arcana cards down so you can like easily compare and contrast them. But notice, see how there's blues and yellows in the cups, right? And they're usually generally in the castle. I just kind of like how it's like this firm storyline and it all goes together. All right, let's move into the Wands. So in the Ace of Wands, we have this lion. And I love how the hand is on fire. I love the movement in this card. I love that it feels like action, courage, right? There's a lot of like fast energy going on. And then if you notice in the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands, they are not matching the traditional archetypes. This card, as soon as I looked at it, I thought of the Three of Wands for some reason. And I guess because he's not holding an earth or a ball or anything, that's why I automatically thought about this. Because, you know, there is water in the background, like he is looking out at the water. Granted, they both are. It's just I associate this card with him holding the globe, right? So just note those differences there. The Three of Wands, you know, I just don't think it corresponds to that. It's a little different. And then the Four of Wands, you know, it's similar enough that I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think of that. I do wish that they were like dancing or like being more merry. I feel like that would be more appropriate, but still, it's similar enough. All right, Five of Wands, very self-explanatory, very, you know, matching as far as the archetypes go. Six of Wands, I look at this, nothing about this card makes me think of this. It doesn't make me think of success and, you know, coming home and, you know, having a lot of accolades. And then the Seven of Wands doesn't really make me think of this either. I feel like these cards are like really similar and in a way that they don't differentiate enough. And when I mean differentiate, I mean like emotionally. I look at them and the emotions feel similar to me, whereas when I look at these, all the emotions are distinct and different. So I do wish that this situation was a little bit different, but you know, it is what it is. Every deck is its own art piece. I just want to show you guys what I like and what I don't like about it, etc. All right, so the Eight of Wands, again, this doesn't really remind me of that. The Nine of Wands, this doesn't remind me of that either. And then the Ten of Wands. Yeah, it just doesn't really make me think of that. So it makes me a little sad that they deviated from the archetypes a little bit. And if you read the definitions in the book, they are not the traditional meanings. They're different. Now, what he has written in the book does match the cards, so that's good, but they're just different. What I do like is that this suit of wands is very consistent with like the browns and the yellows, and then there's some dark greens as we get into the end. So it is kind of a consistent storyline, and I do think that they did a good job with that. Alright, for the suit of swords, we don't have the traditional crown or wreath. We have the eagle instead, but the eagle has captured the snake, so I guess that could indicate victory. The Two of Swords is going to be a little different. the Three of Swords as well. They are crossed traditionally, so as soon as I looked at it, obviously I knew it was a Three of Swords, but there is no heart, and I really like this imagery. The Four of Swords, he was looking down and looking pensive, so, you know, I immediately thought this one, well, he needs a rest, so I did make that correlation. The Five of Swords, there isn't anything really about the Five of Swords that made me think of this card. It just, I mean, the imagery is just totally different. I'm not saying it's bad energy, it's just different. And the meaning of this card in the guidebook also is very different, and I don't actually remember what it was, even though I just read it. And this is the Six of Swords. There is the water and the boat in the background, so I could see how, you know, that could remind me of that card. The Seven of Swords doesn't really remind me of this imagery. The Eight of Swords, we have two people, they look like they're both captured, so it's kind of similar. And then the Nine of Swords, she looks like she's crying in the background. That's relatively similar as far as I'm concerned. And then the Ten of Swords, this one looks similar to the Ten of Wands, where he had all the wands on the ground. But it doesn't have this imagery. Alright, so I guess it's really just a personal preference how you feel about it. Again, note with all the Swords cards how they all have the similar blue. They're all taking place in the castle. The characters have the similar yellow clothing on. The color scheme is very congruent. Alright, the Ace of Discs. I like the bowl in here. It makes me think of Taurus. I like the hand coming out of the earth covered in dirt. So as far as I'm concerned, that's similar. This one, kind of similar. You know, it doesn't have the... What is that symbol called? I don't know, but it doesn't have that symbol. The meaning of this card is totally different in the guidebook than it is in, like, traditionally what this means. The Three of Pentacles, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it doesn't remind me of that at all. The Four of Pentacles, I just like this symbolism. I like him with his little footies on the coins, and this card doesn't have that. So in the Five of Pentacles, we have the people outside who are having financial hardship. They're outside the church. And over here, this one, it just doesn't have the same feel. It's like a total different sort of situation. It feels like these people got what they needed, but these people didn't get what they need. The Six of Pentacles, which is receiving charity. This one, if you look close, you can see, okay, well, they are kind of receiving charity, right? Like, these people look like they're giving coins to these people down here. Mildly similar, but not a lot. This imagery is totally different than the traditional Seven of Pentacles. It does, like, if I move into this card, it does feel like accepting debt. Like, they're accepting lots of money for some sort of venture, and, like, people are bringing them the money. The contract makes me think of debt, like they need to pay it back. Let's see, the Eight of Pentacles, again, imagery very, very different than the traditional one. The Nine of Pentacles doesn't remind me of the traditional one at all. And then the Ten of Pentacles is, I mean, I can get the original meaning from this card. Alright, so notice that in the Pentacles, they are all sort of in a, I don't want to say they're in a barn, but they're inside of some sort of thatched roof sort of situation. It seems more earthy, more farmerish, whereas the Swords were more like they were living in the castle. Alright guys, I want to do a pass through of the deck, just so you all can get like a broader feel of the sort of storyline that's going on, how the images are congruent through each suit, how the colors kind of flow. That is something I do like about this deck, and I'm glad that they took the time to do that. Now, regarding how the images are a little bit different than Rider-Waite-Smith, is that a better thing or not? Personally, I'm just going to go with, like, this is what the artist created, this is the artist's art piece, and so I'm just going to allow my intuition to flow. Whether I know the traditional meaning or not, the second I look at the card, what I'm going to do is I am going to move into it, and I'm just going to emotionally intuit whatever I intuit. So even though I look at this card and it doesn't automatically make me think of the traditional Eight of Wands, what I would do is I would become a character in the card. I would energetically move into the card, pretend that I was these people in here, pretend I was talking. You know, I would think, well, what am I talking about? What are they planning? What are they trying to build? And then from there, I would then, whatever intuitively came out for me is what I would bring forth in the reading. So what would happen is that, you know, obviously I would totally throw the deck meaning out, or excuse me, not the deck meaning, the traditional meaning out, and I would just go with my gut, and I would go with what came to me. And I wouldn't even worry about the fact that looking at the cards didn't automatically make me think of a certain Rider-Waite-Smith archetype. Now, if you are a newer reader and you really need the traditional archetypes to spur your memory so that you can then remember the typical meaning and then you can branch off to your intuition, then maybe you probably shouldn't start with reading this deck. But if you're fairly advanced, I think it'll be perfectly fine. It's all about tuning into your intuition anyway. It's not about getting any specific thing right or any specific definition right. And a lot of times I read with like very, very archetypical Rider-Waite-Smith based decks, and the what my intuition tells me is totally different than what the base meaning is anyway. So I don't feel like you have to have something that is really exactly the same as a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but if you are newer, yes, it's going to help. If you're more advanced, you know, it's fine. I feel like the wands are going to require a little bit more intuitive work when they come up, because I'm going to have to really like move into the card, move into the character, feel what's going on, and like pull out the emotion. But other than that, I do like this deck. I feel like the swords, or excuse me, I feel like the cups are fantastic. I think I really like the cups the best. But yeah, okay, so let's go through the court cards real quick. So let's have a look at the cups. And we're going to look at the wands, the swords, and then the pentacles. Alright, I want to mention some things that I like. I like how this makes me feel like it's part of a larger scene. They're looking at each other. I notice they're not looking at each other and they're not looking at each other. I kind of wonder if that was an accident. And then again, when we get to the pentacles, they're looking at each other again. What I do like is how the artist took some additional care to put some details on these cards. As you can see, the Queen of Cups has like some arrows. She seems to have some sort of like bear claw thing around her neck. I like that a lot. And she's holding, is that mistletoe? Maybe, maybe not. And here we go. I like the two crows. She looks a lot more sharper. Look like I wouldn't want to cross her. And then the Queen of Discs. I kind of like the like jewelry situation she's got going on. I like how she has a treasure chest with the jewels spilling out of it, you know, so she's very wealthy. She has plenty. And I just feel like great attention to detail was taken with these cards, and I do like that a lot. Okay, let's do the King of Wands. Again, he has the bare feet. And the cups. Okay. Alright, so after I went ahead and filmed what I did, I went ahead and cut the edges off this deck, the sides and the corners, and I really like it a lot more. I feel like I can emotionally connect with it much more with the borders gone. Yeah, I just think it looks really good. I'm super happy. And when I cut it, it ended up making the back look just perfect. Alright guys, in order to do a saved search in eBay, the first thing you're going to do is of course type in what you're looking for and then hit search. And as you see when I do that, one comes up for $95. It's probably, I assume that's German. Let's see, there's another one here, German, this one is going to be Russian, $30, a little better. And then this one is in English and it is $100. Now, when I first did this 4 months ago, that was what I got, but I didn't want to pay that. So I put in $30 because that was pretty much the max I wanted to pay for this deck. And then when you hit that, well, now it's made it under $30, okay? So all you have to do is hit save search with this heart. And when you do that, well, I'm not logged in, but what it'll do is it'll put it in your saved searches, and then it will automatically email you when somebody lists a deck with these keywords and it is under $30, and it will not notify you when somebody lists the $100 one, because obviously you made it under $30. And then if you want to find your safe searches, they are right here, and you can actually have many of them and have a list of them. And that is how I put on autopilot eBay sending me things that I am looking for, so when they show up, I get a notification, and then I can go grab it. So it took me about 4 months to get the deck that I have now, and I think I paid $28 for it, including shipping, so I was super happy. So it does happen, but you may have to be patient. Alright guys, talk to you later. Bye.